And we're into the game. Here we are in the upper left part of the map in the blue from the team Slayers. He's back. It's Slayers CoCa. And down in the bottom right in the red from the team Prime, our reigning Fight Club champion. He's taken out 2 people so far. Can he make it a hat trick today and get his 3rd win? It is MarineKing.
Yeah, you know, as of yet, it seems like 3 wins is pretty much the cap for everyone. I love, I know I said this a couple of times before, but we always bring in some player. Doesn't matter who it is. It was people, people said this about MC, people said this about Jockchi. They always say when a certain player comes in, oh, you might as well stop holding the competition because there's no way that they're going to lose ever. And inevitably, after a couple of weeks, each of those players has gone down. So will MarineKing be able to beat those odds and keep winning, or does CoCa have something kind of up his sleeve for him?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now, a lot of Zerg players, like we mentioned before the cast, are kind of assuming that MarineKing is going to go command center first. And I mean, this, from what we see so far, kind of doesn't really change that that idea. Yeah, queuing up some SCVs, definitely going to be a command center first from MarineKing. And so will CoCa go for 3 hatcheries before spawning pool? That's the question. I mean, this, I would say, you know, is normally a map where it's a little bit tougher to take that 3rd. So if you have an opportunity like this early on, I'd say absolutely CoCa should go for those 3 hatcheries before spawning pool in this situation. He may not be able to scout in time, but a lot of players are just kind of assuming. They're not even bothering to scout. So we'll have to see what CoCa decides to do.
Yeah, I mean, that would certainly be a cool build. I mean, we've seen players go for the 3 hatch before pool and then end up going into 6 queens right away as well. And they can just, they spread creep, spread like mad. That keeps them so well defended against those early game Hellions that come out a little bit slower due to Terran players putting up those extra command centers and things like that. But it is indeed going to be a pool after the first hatch for CoCa.
All right, so pretty standard opening from our Slayers Zerg player right now. Kind of wondering what we'll see from him. Interestingly enough, another Slayer Zerg player actually qualified for the OSL this weekend as well. Min, actually ended up qualifying a player that we haven't seen enough of lately, in my opinion. He's always been a Zerg player that I've really enjoyed watching. He's a great macro Zerg. CoCa, though, has never really kind of prescribed to that style of play. He's always kind of tended to be a little bit more on the aggressive side. So I'm curious. I haven't gotten to see a lot of CoCa's games lately since he came back. So really looking forward to seeing the decisions that he makes, especially in light of all the changes that have happened.
And one thing I want to point out, too, is that we've been holding a lot of regionals for IPL5 recently. I hope you guys have been enjoying those. And it's once again the attack of the Korean Terran players, as 4 of our 8 spots that will be seeded into winners round 3 belong to now Fnatic Live, of course, because he did win IPL4.
Right.
MarineKing, who won the qualifier, or sorry, I should say the Korean regional, and then we had Pult and Tasia actually take the international qualifier. So we are going to have 4 very strong Korean Terran players once again.
You know, it's interesting because I believe one of our Korean qualifiers for IPL3 actually, or IPL4 actually, it was Taja and Pult in the finals, and Pult ended up winning that one, I believe. So,
this is a little interesting. Sorry, I was the one who brought up the topic of discussion, and now I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, what's the deal, man?
I'm sorry, but this was kind of interesting. CoCa actually decided to produce 8lings right away to go ahead and put pressure on. So that's his preferred method of dealing with this very aggressive 3 command center build that we see out of MarineKing.
It's kind of a cool thought, but I mean, we can already see MarineKing doing a pretty good job of handling this. I mean, he lost a little bit here. Oh, he does actually get trapped, but you know, it's just going to be, I think, enough Marines. Actually, you know, this is doing a little bit more than I kind of thought it would, honestly.
Yeah, this is
the amount of Marines. MarineKing, taking some losses.
That's right.
Oh, almost getting that last SCV. How many workers did he actually lose? Because it can be a little bit deceptive. Yeah, only lost 3 workers there in the early part of the game.
And this is like MarineKing's favorite build on Entombed Valley. So he makes this wall with barracks up at the front, but I'm 99% sure he's going to go mech out of this because he ends up staying safe with these Marines. A very solid wall up the front. Nothing's going to kill him. But then once he gets on 3-base economy, he just starts rocking with a ton of Hellions, a ton of Hellions, Thors, tanks, and can add on those unupgraded Marines with that.
Well, Entombed Valley is actually a really good map for mech. One of the things that really can help make a mech build versus Zerg successful is the ability to have 3 very safe bases. And you certainly do have that on Entombed Valley, and there are even some mech builds you can do on 2 bases, and you're absolutely right, Kevin. There's already a second factory going up right now.
Yeah.
MarineKing not really going to use these barracks a whole lot, but basically what you can do is if you can get a safe build going, You can do a lot of good mech timings with 2-2. You can choose to go up to 3-3 and just max out and then push. But as long as you kind of stay away from moving across a big open center of the map, if you kind of move a little bit around the outside, you can usually move pretty safely. So yeah, I'm excited to see mech. It's a great way to play versus Zerg these days.
I just love where StarCraft 2 is going, though. I mean, look at this game. We're 7.5 minutes into it. We've already got a ton of Marines being put out with Combat Shield, multiple factories put down, and 3 bases up for MarineKing.
Yeah.
Now, if we take a look at CoCa's side, he actually ended up going for a 4-queen build in the 3rd hatch before gas. So he puts up quad gas then right away, goes up to a double evolution chamber, and has the Roach Warren coming down at the same time. But look at the creep spread already. So this is just, I just love how far this game has developed over the past few months.
MarineKing is kind of doing one of his own sort of signature builds, I guess you could say, that he's been doing a lot lately in TVZ. It's not exactly pure mech like we were maybe thinking it would be. It's actually going to be Marines with combat shields and Blue Flame Hellions. Now, sometimes he does choose to get stim with this if he wants to time it out with 2-2. But yeah, he's been doing this a lot lately. Just a lot of Marines, a lot of Blue Flame Hellions, and then adding on Medivacs a little bit later. So CoCa, with his composition, is going to need to be really, really careful about how he engages this, because if he's not careful, he's just going to end up with a lot of roaches, with a lot of dead lings, and then that's not going to be really the best army to fight this.
And sometimes MarineKing will throw on a lot of Thors as the game progresses with this as well. I mean, it's always such a fun composition when you have Thor, Hellion, Marine. So we'll see what he goes with. We're 9 minutes into the game. CoCa, your creep spread is insane. I just want to point out that we have like a quarter of the map already covered, and it just continues to increase. So CoCa is certainly flexing his multitasking might at the moment. He's already sitting on 54 workers and continuing to set down that bailing nest, bring in more rounds of drones as well, making sure his economy is just going to be insane.
Yeah, insane it certainly will be. A couple of early roaches moving out across the map, forcing those Hellions back just a little bit here. MarineKing not really going to worry about scanning or anything just yet. A lot of Terran players lately have actually been going for attacks like on the 3rd, and then once they kill off the Zerg army, that's when they seem to move to the front of the creep and then take out all the creep tumors unopposed. So kind of a little trick Terrans have been using to kind of be very, very effective about clearing creep at certain times in the game. So we'll see what he decides to do. His Marine count is rising pretty rapidly, and he is keeping up on supply with his Zerg opponent. Worker count definitely a little bit better for Zerg, as it usually always is, but there are Marines out as well. So all in all, just a very even game. It's all going to come down to army positioning and kind of timing choices, really, with this one.
Smattering of upgrades for both players as well, as we see 2-2 coming up for melee forces. We do have Roach speed and Bailing speed on the way for CoCa. He establishes his macro hatch. We'll probably see a 4th out of him at some point in the relative near future. MarineKing, on the other hand, walling off the front of his 3rd, make sure he stays extra safe. A 3rd factory coming up for him as well as he continues to invest into those Marauders, Marines, and tanks.
And here we go, MarineKing moving out in front of the bases. Don't know if he's quite going to push here. He is going with 1-1 stim and potentially siege mode. Siege mode did just start, but it does research very quickly, so he could be using this as a bit of a timing as well. And yeah, these roaches need to definitely make a run for it. MarineKing being aggressive here, but we'll see how far he wants to move up. I mean, that's a lot of creep. That's a lot of opportunity for CoCa to respond to this.
And I think CoCa sent some links into the 3rd, but because the wall's up, and look at that. He darts back a little bit. Pathing brought him along to the natural, where MarineKing had quite a few forces stationed.
Yep, MarineKing now getting that medevac count up. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier, that a lot of Terran players have been dealing with infestors by just getting a really, really high amount of medevacs out there, making Fungal not do a whole lot. Slayer's CoCa pushing in here. Baneling's not really being too effective, and so far, MarineKing, despite being on creep right now, has been able to kind of push back his Zerg opponent a little bit here. Oh, but what's going on?
That's a fair number of Banelings. It looks like MarineKing's moving most of his forces out, so these Banelings could take down this wall pretty efficiently.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, MarineKing's got a tank in position. If he sieges it up, that can help defend as well.
And let's see here now is MarineKing forcing Slayer's CoCa back across the map, yet more Banelings being produced as well. Now, MarineKing does have tanks along with this, and it looks like he's going to stim up here. CoCa choosing to engage at this moment. He actually came around with the back with those Banelings that we saw before, so most of the Marauders are taken out. CoCa does pretty much annihilate that force in the middle of the map.
Yeah, beautiful flank with those Banelings. I was kind of wondering about that, because that wasn't exactly the counterattacking type of force you normally see, and now MarineKing taking about 30 supply worth of losses. Oh, but I don't know if this is a good idea by CoCa. Lings reinforced reinforcing, but will it be enough with those siege tanks on the high ground?
There are 3 siege tanks sitting up, as you mentioned. It looks like we do have a fair number of kills for those so far. More Hellions starting to reinforce as well. Banelings going to roll in afterwards, but they were very, very slow. Not that many Banelings left. In fact, they all go down, and this is going to get cleaned up, if slowly, for MarineKing.
Yeah, I mean, nice pickup with the tank there, but MarineKing, he's taking some losses here, but CoCa's attack was so inefficient. I don't know if this is really going to end up working out okay. He's going to try to, he's not even bothering trying to sneak some units across the map to follow this up. He knows that he's going to have to kind of sit back and bide his time a little bit more. What's the worker count right now? I don't believe there were any, no real economic losses suffered by either player there.
Yeah, as you can see, workers killed still very, very low in this game altogether.
Yeah.
So MarineKing now switching over to a pretty heavy marine tank-centric force. He still does have a fairly well-developed factory production facilities if he decides to go that route, but now reinvesting back into his bio. So looks like he will indeed kill the Zergling underneath the orbital command. Will be able to take that. Roach is trying to put on a little pressure. MarineKing should be able to react pretty quickly. These tanks, I'm not sure what they're doing, actually.
They're just kind of hiding.
Yeah.
Just staying close to the cave wall. They want to be safe. But notably, something to kind of pay attention to is that MarineKing is actually going for 2 tanks at once, which is something a lot of Terran players have been skipping lately. They've just been relying on mostly bio. And while he's not really skimping in the tank department either, which is kind of a big deal. I think that's definitely going to be a lot more helpful in the long run here. And we do see a Spire going down for CoCa now as well. So it looks like it will be Broodlord tech that our Zerg player is going towards.
Yeah,
the late game.
MarineKing starting to extend himself on creep now. This queen came out to die, but it looks like she'll just be able to get away. Rest of the units starting to push through, and Fester's thrown into the mix as well. He does fungal down quite a few units, but there are so many medevacs overhead that he's able to just power ahead and keep most of those bio units alive.
That's the thing. If you have enough medevacs, fungal becomes very not quite as useful. I mean, as long as the Banelings are kind of kept at bay, but if you have a lot of Marauders, you can buffer that as well. His 4th base staying safe for now. Nice fungal trapping some units away from the medevacs, but not really making a big impact. MarineKing starting to take a pretty decent supply lead here for this stage in the game.
Yeah, he is. As we can see, though, CoCa is sitting on 5 bases, but MarineKing now able to establish his 4th, so he's still in a certainly very, very strong spot. CoCa, on the other hand, he needs to start saturating some other bases as he is mined out of his main and about out of his natural as well, but it's kind of a tough situation for him. His hive tech is done. His Spire just finishing up as well, so we will be able to move over to Greater Spire here in just a bit, but he's expending all of his resources into nothing but Lings, Banelings, and Infestors at the moment.
Yeah, that's the thing, is if you're a Terran player and you can push out when they want to start making those Corruptors.
Oh,
great fungal on everything. Oh, this could be bad for MarineKing. How much energy do the Infestors have? Not enough to really make it worth it. Oh, those medevacs are so low. One more fungal would just be devastating for MarineKing.
Yeah, MarineKing, all colors of the autumn there in those medevacs healths, unfortunately. He is going to roll up with those siege tanks. That was still quite a bit of damage done from CoCa, though, so he can't be disappointed with that, but he needs to be able to hit some more fungals here in a second. He does indeed have a couple of Infestors, but wasted on those Hellions up at the front.
Dude, MarineKing just did the sickest medevac spread there right before those Infestors came in. He knows exactly where he's at as far as the health goes on those. Here comes CoCa again, but not the best angle for our Zerg player here. Oh, MarineKing trying to get those medevacs away, but only a couple get fungaled.
Yeah, MarineKing actually dealing with those forces pretty cost efficiently. Oh, where did you come from, Infestor? A few more units pinned down there by fungal growth, but once again, the medevacs charging in, even though they are very, very low in health. They still have energy. Most of the bio units are healed up once again, and these roaches feeling the brunt of that.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, there is a 5th base going up for CoCa, so he is staying even on bases, even if he does lose this one. And it looks like he may just barely be able to hold off, but man, he needs to do something about those medevacs, and he's trying to. He's got Mutalisks on the way right now. He knows that he can pressure with his roaches and lings and then use that to kill medevacs. But he loses that hatchery first.
Yeah, and MarineKing should have caught a glimpse of the Mutalisks that are actually popping up as well. Greater Spire is finished, and we can see the Corruptors are on the way now. So MarineKing still in a pretty strong spot. Unfortunately, this little Ling counterattack not going to do that much damage. MarineKing still sitting on pretty well-developed economy and about ready to max out once again. 3-3 upgrades all finished up.
Yep. Now it looks like CoCa he's at the point in the game where he just wants to buy time until he gets those Broodlords out. But he's, oh, it's going to be so tough. Here he goes. Nice fungals on a lot of the army of MarineKing, but will it be enough? MarineKing landing the Manor Mules. He wants CoCa to get out of the game.
He feels very confident. Hardly any of those medevacs went down. Still, once again, MarineKing is just going to stem up possibly to victory here. Those Mulists and things looks like they're getting involved. No, it's actually just Zerglings down over at the 4th, but MarineKing just has nothing stopping this force.
Yeah, I think MarineKing's going to take game 1. CoCa kept it close for a lot of the game, but MarineKing was just able to get that little edge the entire time, and this is going to be about it. 115 to 188 supply. The natural expansion hatchery gets taken out, and MarineKing looking like he's going to go up a game in this best of 9.
Oh, poor drones, too. That's going to be a slaughter here.
Oh, they've been mercifully spared, actually.
Yeah, because he's worried about the Broodlords, I guess.
Now, me too.
Landing more Manor Mules, even trapping himself or zoning out a few of those Zerglings, I guess I should say. And the Broodlords are actually going to die before they're able to morph in.
And how many meals will it take before CoCa leaves the game? That's the question.
I don't know. I think he's not leaving in spite of him now. There's GG, and MarineKing takes game number 1 of the